bet you guys didn't even know there was a spiritual sequel to MadWorld. Anarchy Reigns just slipped under so many people's radars, and my guess it was because it came out for the US and Europe in January 2013, only a month before Metal Gear Rising came out. And let's face it, we were way more interested in Metal Gear than anything else Platinum was making at that time. Japan got Anarchy Reigns at around July 2012, which seems like a more suitable date, so why did it take so long to get shipped everywhere else?
I guess we'll never know the answer to that anyway, because I couldn't find any development history of this game whatsoever. No joke, there's absolutely zero information about it. It did get a fair amount of trailers released, but barely anybody even saw them, and trust me, that view count is peanuts for the gaming community. And even if you did see the trailers, only a fair few people still bought the game. Anarchy Reigns did nothing to grab our attention, with maybe the exception of now being in color as opposed to the black and white comic book style. Was it seen as a bad game, or was it just not interesting to us? Well, let's take a look and see what we've got. As usual, we'll cover the story first, where we follow the Sons of Liberty route and take control of two characters. You can choose between Jack Kamen, returning from MadWorld, or a special agent of something rather, called Leo, which is a little confusing because the doctor in MadWorld was called Leo, but whatever. Jack and Leo are looking for a guy named Maximilian Caxton for murdering his wife and escaping prison, as well as killing Jack's daughter, and now he swears to avenge her. Meanwhile, Jack is accompanied by Matilda as well as the Black Baron and eventually Reen, who both somehow survive their ordeals in MadWorld, and at one point Jack and Leo cross paths and have a fight for no goddamn reason. You'll find that a lot in Anarchy Reigns' campaign. Most of the bosses don't really have an agenda to battle you other than for video game purposes, and a few of them wish to join you on your quest afterwards anyway, so what was even the point? And then there's this guy Nikolai that works with Leo throughout his story, but he sporadically becomes the final boss near the end of the game, suddenly taking his view of justice to extreme measures. Does justice include taking on the form of a god? Just curious. Jack and Leo's narratives intertwine with each other as you finish their 3-hour story, and you immediately take control of the other character afterwards. So I guess the choice at the beginning is to let you play your preferred character first. And yeah, the game altogether is around 6 hours, which is a decent length, but honestly, the game's not really that fun for me. Anarchy Reigns plays similarly and differently to MadWorld. You still need to collect a large number of points to progress, but this time they unlock free missions and story missions. Story missions are exactly what they sound like. They continue the plot and will a couple of times during a stage put you up against the respective boss. Each of the 4 stages for both characters have 3 story missions in total before you move on to the next stage. Free missions are sort of like the Bloodbath challenges from MadWorld, which involve little mini-games to help you earn a crapload of points. But a lot of them are just killing a certain amount of guys, and only a few different missions sprinkled here and there that are so ridiculously easy it's like the developers didn't even try. You can play the free missions however many times you want to, and it's pretty much required to do so at least once, because taking on a bunch of enemies in the open world is painfully tedious from the very few points you get for each kill. You can't even kill them creatively anymore. I did manage to stick a signpost through someone's neck again, but the most you can do is just pick up stuff and throw it at them, or use the signpost as a high damaging melee weapon. The controls are at least still pretty good, and the characters now have light and heavy attacks as well as their default melee weapon like Jack's chainsaw. But unfortunately, unlike Bayonetta, there are only a handful of combos you can pull off, and you're gonna get tired of seeing the same attacks over and over again. Using the melee weapons are a little more rewarding, but instead of consuming fuel to use something like your chainsaw, they instead deplete these bars under your health that you can regain by landing regular punches on enemies. The light attacks use 1 bar, while the heavy attacks use 2. You can also press both the light attack and jump button to perform a crowd control attack, but it costs a little health if you use it, and I almost forgot I even had it. The same goes for this dash attack you can do while holding down the heavy attack button. What is cool though is that by killing people or by getting hit, you'll gradually fill up this rampage meter to allow you to activate flurries of attacks, and goddamn is it broken. It destroys enemies in one hit and makes boss battles a complete joke. By the way, you get to fight a Kraken in this game. Just thought I'd bring that up. So that's Anarchy Reigns. Not a horrendously god-awful game, but damn does it get boring. I didn't even mention the online multiplayer where Platinum put most of their efforts in and was supposed to be the biggest selling point. And on top of that, as you progress through the single player, you can control one of the many different characters and unlock them for multiplayer. But I swear some of them don't play all that differently, with a few exceptions. Sasha, I freaking love you. This even goes for Bayonetta, who you can buy as DLC, but I didn't get to use her because I couldn't find a single person in multiplayer. I tried both player and ranked matches, but I got nothing. I figured that not many people would be playing this online anymore, but I didn't expect it to be this quiet. And I've just wasted my money on a character I'll never get to play as. That £69 could have gone to something better. Anarchy Reigns is overall just repetitive and dull. It is cool to see some of the MadWorld characters in color, and I think the game overall looks pretty good for the 7th generation, despite the environments being so bland. But like I said in the Infinite Space review, that all doesn't matter if the game isn't fun to play. The very few people who even discuss this game are mainly talking about the online multiplayer, and I'm sure this was fairly enjoyable back then, but in 2017, the multiplayer is long dead, and all we have left now is the lackluster single player mode. I only paid a couple more pounds for this one than I did with MadWorld, but I enjoyed MadWorld a lot more for its creative ideas, unique style, and just being an all-around good time, however short the game may be.
And as I've said at the start of this video, this was the game we were more interested in playing at that time, and this is what we're finally going to be looking at for the next review. I know a lot of you especially wanted me to talk about this game, Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. Now this review is going to take me a little while longer to make because I'm going to be treating it like a typical Metal Gear review, and that includes going fully into the plot, so I shall catch you later. In a world so real, half a century still, armed to the teeth, metal mechanical limbs, and if they throw stones, we throw back the virus and win. Past the sinners in the holy life survival, worst come to worst.